Nate, who do you like going over or under?
Let's begin with my first one, shall we? So my first pick is the Miami Dolphins. Are they going to go over or under their 8.5 win total? And for me, they're going to go under their 8.5 win total, and here's why. Teron Armstead, their best offensive lineman, when their offensive line was already issue, your best one just retired. So as it currently stands, you need to fill in that spot. Your defense also needs to be worked on massively. And also, and most importantly, that offensive line, you have a quarterback who, if somebody touches him, he will get concussed. That's a big issue. You also lost a massive touchdown leader in Raheem Mostert. You're stuck with Davon Achane, which he's a fine running back, absolutely a fine running back, but scoring could be a potential thing because Mostert got a bunch of touchdowns. Tyreek Hill is piecing out of Miami. Will he stay there the entire season, or will he get traded? There's a lot of questions surrounding Miami, and I do think they're fortunate enough to have a relatively high draft pick. It's above midway. I think they have the 13th overall pick. So going into next year, they do have a relatively easy schedule, but I'm actually projecting that most of these players didn't get so banged up that they're going to miss some games here. So for me, 8.5 is too much, way too much for a quarterback who gets concussed easily, who they don't have a phenomenal running game. Their offensive line just lost its best offensive lineman. Give me the Miami Dolphins on the under for 8.5. Let's go to my next one. The New England Patriots. I couldn't believe this when I saw it. I thought it was 7.5. It's 8.5, which is crazy. So for me, I'm obviously going to go with the under here. I do not trust the New England Patriots. Year 2 of Drake May, who, by the way, didn't play that great. We could talk about the offensive line, and I have extensively, but I think overall the offensive line wasn't incredible. Like I said, their schedule is relatively easy. We're ranking it about 8th easiest schedule in the NFL. But I think Drake May needs to improve drastically. You got Stephon Diggs in there now. You're trying to rebuild that offensive line. Your running game, I still don't trust. We loved Ramondre Stevenson initially, but now he can't even hold on to the football anymore. Antonio Gibson was a complete waste of money last year. He's going to try to improve on it this year. And overall, Drake May just needs to play better. Way too many turnovers in late game situations, literally throwing game-losing interceptions. The defense, I'll give props to Mike Vrabel and Elliott Wolf for this offseason when it comes to defense. You got Milton Williams, you got Carlton Davis, you got Harold Landry. You filled in some very nice pieces. I like Clavon Chasen. Some people don't because he didn't play that well over the course of his career. I also think that going into this draft, depending on what the Browns do, and then depending on what the Giants do, because we just saw Abdul Carter post a Lawrence Taylor photo on social media, could he be trying to say, hey, Giants, pick me? Who knows? I think that if he's available, you go Travis Hunter, because then he could play wide receiver. How about your wide receiver core? And play defensive back, because I don't think personally, and I've said this repeatedly, Marcus Jones can do much. He's a nifty little shifty guy who scored a couple touchdowns offensively. It was cool to watch. But he's 5'8", gets mossed. I saw him against the Bengals a couple years ago. T. Higgins was just destroying him. I mean, 5'8", trying to play cornerback against bigger guys, it does not work out very well. He could be a nice gadget, shifty guy on both sides. I think you should veer him more towards the offensive side of the ball. But I think having Travis Hunter in there as a nice cornerback will help you out. But this Patriots team still needs about 1 or 2 more years. Mike Vrabel's first year. Think about how valuable Mike Vrabel is. What was the Patriots win total last year? 4.5, and now it's 8.5? Mike Vrabel and a couple of pieces are now a 4-point swing. I'll take the under here for this one. Let's go to the next one. The Pittsburgh Steelers, of course, they're at 8.5. Because everybody's banking on the potential that Mike Tomlin will finally get his first losing season. And I predicted that last year, and I was wrong. So what about this year? I'm not going to make the same mistake. I'm saying the Pittsburgh Steelers win at least 9 games here. And I think it just makes too much sense. Because I do think when it's all said and done, Rodgers won't retire, even though at this point it's just getting ridiculous because there's literally only one option besides retirement, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I think that with Aaron Rodgers, and you need to obviously work on your running game, and I do think they'll draft a very good running back in this draft. But offensively, you have George Pickens, you have DK Metcalf, you have Pat Freiermuth. Your defense should be phenomenal, as it always is through the first half of the season. And you have some stability at the quarterback position, who Rodgers' game, it's been consistent. It's been very, very consistent. It's not like Russell Wilson, where the first 5 games, you're like, oh my God, he's crazy. And then the last 5 games he loses, and his offense averages 14 points a game. When it comes to Rodgers, we saw a little bit of an uptick from week 8 to the end of the season. The first 7 weeks, he was terrible. But from week 8 to week 18, it was pretty good. 18 touchdowns, 4 picks. The win total didn't really add up because just the team was a complete mess last year. Jeff Wilbur, head coach, And you also had Todd Downing and Nathaniel Hackett swapping from offensive coordinator roles. But I do think that the Steelers will get at least 9 wins, and I'll take the over for that. Let's go to the next one here. Cleveland Browns. We just talked about them in the prior topic. What do I think? A 4.5 win total. Now, the favorite is obviously to go over, but I'm actually going to take the under here. I'm going to take the under. Because if you take a look at their schedule, shall we? And we take a look at the projections of their win probability. If you take 50% or more win probability, they win 1 game. Let's help them out a little bit more. Let's take 40% win probability or higher. They win 3 games. So this is a terrible Browns team as it currently stands. You have no running game. Your offensive line is not great. David Njoku's a fine tight end. Wide receiver core, you have Jerry Jeudy. That's fine. Cedric Tillman put up some numbers before he got injured. But as it currently stands, you have Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, and Deshaun Watson. And I just think I'm going to spitball here, as we just talked about. I don't think they're going to get Shedeur Sanders because now supposedly Shedeur doesn't even want to be picked in the top 3. So I think as it currently stands, this team is not great. I will take the under on the worst team in the NFL. Probably since, 2000, they've been consistently a terrible team. They're one of, the only 2 0-16 teams in NFL history? Yeah, they made because Joe Flacco threw for 320 yards. Yes, they did make the playoffs, but still, nobody's counting the Cleveland Browns as a decent team, especially in the AFC North, which is going to get better year after year after year after year. I'll take the Browns on the under here. Let's go to the next one. The Los Angeles Rams, 9.5. What are we going to do about the Los Angeles Rams after nearly knocking the Eagles out of the playoffs last year and would have stopped them from making the Super Bowl and ultimately winning it? What do I have them going? I'm actually going to take the over on the 9.5 here. Because I think the NFC West just saw its the weakest possible NFC West in a few years. Because the 49ers were a mess. The Cardinals were about average. They're not going to do anything. And the Seahawks were just a surprise team. But now with the Rams, I think they made some very good moves. You've shored up your defensive line. You took Cooper Kupp, whose production has declined rapidly since he won the Triple Crown in 2021, and you replaced it with Devontae Adams, who just showed you last year with Aaron Rodgers that his production has remained largely the same. His quarterback just can't be Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, or Desmond Ridder. That's all I got, or Brian Hoyer. Or Jimmy Garoppolo. As long as he has a competent quarterback, and I think a top 10 quarterback in Matt Stafford, we could still see Devontae Adams as a serious wide receiver threat. They do need to shore up their defensive back, and the offensive line is still relatively good. I think you can get maybe another depth piece, because last year we saw there was injuries all over the place. So maybe you want to build up the depth in the draft. But the defensive line was incredible. I'm trying to remember the name. Jared Verse, defensive rookie. That's what I was going to talk about. I mean, we saw in the playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold got sacked 9 times. He looked scared. We saw seeing ghosts, Sam Darnold. And we saw against the Eagles, they were literally one Jalen Carter sack away from potentially moving on. So I think this team is going to be very dangerous in an NFC West where the 49ers just lost 17 guys. Can they replenish 17 guys in one draft? I'm going to go with no. And also, their best wide receiver core that they had is all old, sometimes, at least we saw last year, banged up, and CMC has been dealing with tendonitis in his Achilles, in both of them. So who knows what the hell's going to happen or what his production will look like. I'll take the Rams on the over. And finally, the Ravens, 11.5. Very risky. Now, 11.5 is the largest over-under win total of the season. So what do I have the Ravens doing? I have them going over. They've been a very consistent regular season team. And as long as Lamar Jackson, because there was a 2-year stint where he played 12 games, because after 12 games, he would get banged up in December and January. So as long as he stays healthy, I would say that this team will be a perfectly fine regular season team. We saw Derrick Henry be an incredibly dominant running back, even at 30-plus years old, and I think that will continue this year. The offensive line will obviously improve. Zay Flowers is still a great wide receiver. People were coming at us for saying Zay Flowers is a great receiver, even though he was a rookie. Last time I checked, rookie receivers could still be good. But I'm just going to throw it out. He had a great year, too, though. Rashad Bateman, healthy, very productive, deep ball receiver for Lamar. It was great. Mark Andrews, he's got to get some more love, and I think he will this season. He started off very slow, and then infamously against the Bills, he dropped the 2-point conversion, which would have tied the game. So maybe he gets some more love. And they also just got DeAndre Hopkins in the offseason. So I think the Ravens are going to be very good offensively, and I'll give them credit. Brandon Stevens, one of the starting cornerbacks, is now on the Jets. So you actually remove the liability for your team. So I think you'll improve drastically this season on defense. which obviously was an issue early on. Everybody talked about how bad their defense was early, and then it picked up second half of the year. I think they'll start off very hot. I think this team is going to be very dangerous. Give me the Ravens on the over. But those are my over-unders. Dolphins under, Patriots under, Steelers over, Browns under, Rams and Ravens both over. Hi, everybody. Thank you for watching this clip of the Harvey Hour. If you want to watch the full show, you can by clicking the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to take the show with you on the go, it is available wherever you get your podcast. We go live here on YouTube every single Tuesday and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification bell to get notified whenever we upload a video and whenever we go live.